This is the Lemon Narrative with Sabreen podcast. I am Sabreen, your host. I am a writer, and I'm here today with a friend, an amazing person, Monica, to tell us her story, her feature film. So I asked my guest, what would you tell me if I'm writing a feature film about you? And yeah, I'll let Monica introduce herself. Hi,
Hi,
Monica.
hi. Thanks for having me. So my name is Monica, as you know already, and my passion and what I try to share with the world is tea and art of tea, also supported by yoga. And in the meantime, I also do different things, and I like to travel, which will be
You
the
love to travel.
important element of my film for sure one day. So this is
Okay, and where are you based right now? Where do you live?
not currently. It's Warsaw, Poland. My
Poland.
home.
Okay. At home. So you are from Poland. I have never been to Poland, and I don't know if you're my first Polish person I meet. No, I think I've met people who are their parents are from Poland. So this is going to be fun for me. Okay, I'll like informative. So you said art of tea. What's art of tea?
Art of tea is basically like, for me personally, it's the Chinese art of tea because I feel like
Mm,
most of people are familiar with Japanese tea ceremony and
mm,
everything around it. But because like part of my education is Chinese studies, and then I
mm.
lived in China. So, and actually, funny enough, at the end of my stay in China, I got interested in tea.
Tea.
And then I kind of learned by myself, and then I met like Chinese tea art teacher in Warsaw during pandemic, and I had classes.
Mm.
If you ask me what it is, ah, it's basically the art of life, I would say.
Wow, that's big words. I've never. Okay, I love tea. Okay, I in fact I have tea right now, right?
Wow. Yes.
And just black tea, and in Sudan, I know that the origin of tea kind of originated from China. That's all I know because I used to have um, a Chinese roommate, right? But we didn't go into details into this. I was telling her about like a traditional Sudan when people when they wake up in the morning they would have tea and milk. They mix it together, and for me that's just ruins. It just ruined the tea. I love tea by itself, right? So and then I got into the for me tea is the black tea, the tea leaf and it's
Yeah.
the loose tea and that's how we have it. And then sometimes we drop spices like I love mint leaf into it or cloves, sometimes like the black thing clove.
Mhm.
Um, but that's like how I take it, right? And I was telling her that, and she said, "Oh well," I said maybe the mixing of milk and tea comes from our colonizer, which who were like British people, and I think that originated from there. And she said, "No, but tea or they stole it from China." That's her words, okay? So I
Yeah.
got what I know about tea is what I like about it. That's all, and what she told me about it.
Like
So
that's the basics. Like the
those are the
basics is
basics. I
you
know.
drink,
I'm informed. So give me
yeah,
like
you drink the tea
give
that
me
you
some
like.
hint.
You don't drink what you don't like. That's easy.
Okay, like educate me more about this.
Where should I start? Okay, so like in China, it is said that tea ceremony basically connects like the philosophy of Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism.
Mm,
And actually, like the ceremony, what you will see if you type like it's called Gong Fu tea, for example, or Gong Fu's tea ceremony, then or like Kung Fu is more
mm,
common pronunciation, I think. Um, then you will see like a lot of small utensils And I
Mm,
think it originated quite late, like taking into account like the whole history of tea. But one thing is that it's about enjoyment of the tea
mm,
as a drink, that you don't necessarily, just gulp it down and
mm,
just move on with your day.
mm,
like
mm.
I feel like the tea bag has this energy of just, dip it
Jump it
and
there.
drink it and go on, and no, this reflection time. But also there is this idea, especially if someone is into meditation and taking into the fact that actually the whole culture of tea originated from the Buddhist monasteries. Like
Mm,
the monks would use it to meditate for longer time. So it's basically the practice that makes you calm down and
mm,
also are much more aware of your surroundings, because even the steps of tasting the tea is like you notice the color of the
mm,
whatever you brewed, you smell it, and then you taste it. So it's completely different thing. And it's just, I say that it's like the art of life, because then the longer you practice, the more it's kind of spills on your life, the calmness or or
mm,
also like alertness of your mind. Like tea is very much different from coffee because it can keep you awake, but I feel like many people after coffee are like hyper
tea
awake,
calms down.
or
Yeah.
like this shaky feeling, while tea is more on the side. It will keep you awake, but you will feel also very grounded. That's what I feel. And then also, well, that's probably the most consumed drink on the planet. So by the end of the day, whichever style you drink, it's something to connect with almost everyone around the world. And
Mm,
it's like, and it is also said that it basically connects us to the nature,
mm,
because tea cannot exist without the ground and cannot exist without the heaven or sky, because
yeah.
it needs sun, water, and it needs all the nourishment from the ground. So if we drink it, we just connect back.
Wow. I am impressed. That's
Then that's just like an iceberg, top of the iceberg.
yeah. But when you said uh, noticing the color of the tea and how here's how I imagined it. I imagined it me sitting, like not like a comfortable place, not necessarily holistic with candles and stuff, or like even like nice smell. Because we have in our culture, like when we drink tea or coffee, even the coffee we make is different. Um, we roast the beans. Like when women sit down in Sudan to drink coffee, they start by roasting the beans, right?
Oh,
To the color that they want, and then they ground it with a hound, not the electrical one. And then while this is happening, we're burning wood, and especially the other day we were burning it at my house, and I was like, I smell coffee, but I wasn't smelling coffee. I was smelling the burning of the wood, but because um, it's associated to me with coffee. I thought it's the smell of coffee. It's how it's in our culture, right? It's grounded in it. Just I have been soaked in it to the point where the smell of food became the same smell as coffee, right? And then after they ground it, then they start making it, and all of it's in a coal. Um, they use like a I don't know how I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a small griller,
mm,
and they burn the wood with, and then they make it in coal, like as if you're grilling, not in a regular stove, right? So it's a process that takes time, and all women in the neighborhood will like they have coffee time, right? And this was before work, and like I grew up seeing that, right?
mm,
And this just reminded me of this. And when you say this, the color change and everything that helps them to meditate longer, I'm just I felt myself in that experience, and I felt like, oh, I want to do this too, like to know how it tastes, because I'm interested in the taste with the colors and also types of teas. Do they have the same tea? Like, is it just black tea? What kind of tea? Do they, like, 'cause I see, I don't know, like I don't want to associate things with drama because not everything in TV. Or like I remember going and asking for rose tea here, and it came in a thing, and there was a rose, and I was like, I've never had rose tea, right? I was like, wow, whether I like it or not, that was not the thing. It was the whole experience of like having a rose there and seeing it, like, and then the color and everything. So are there types of teas, or like how?
I mean, then it like in China there are basically 6 kinds of tea, like 6 groups, which
Mm.
is black tea, but Chinese call it red tea.
Yeah, we call it red tea too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying
Yeah.
black tea because I'm here. Okay, okay, okay. That's interesting.
Green tea,
Green
obviously.
tea.
Then let me think. Oolong tea. Oolong tea is very vast because it's like between green tea and black tea. So it's like,
Hmm.
and the how to say it, the leaves can be very green or not very green in this group. So it's like the biggest, the most complex, I would say, group of teas. Then you have like the dark tea, I guess this is the English word. So an actual fermented tea.
Mm.
Then you have white tea, which is basically pick out the leaves and put them out in the sun, let them dry. The simplest but not the easiest to make. And the last one is yellow tea. But honestly, from what my teacher told me, it's very hard to come across yellow tea, even in China, because like the procedure is so complicated and only maybe top most like richest people have access to it, in fact. So yeah, that's the
My next question was
classification.
like, have you tasted all of them? And you kind of like answered it by saying yellow tea is not that accessible, eh?
Yeah, it's. I
Mm.
mean, you can get it, but there's also the question of quality. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
picky one. I'm picky one. I admit, I'm very picky when it comes to that.
I'm a picky person too. It's okay. When you love something, you just want to have it right. It's not being picky. It's just you want it to have the right experience, right? Like, I'm scared someone will see this. I want to taste kimchi so bad, you know, and I want to go to a good place to taste it. But the other day, I just went to the mall, and I don't think that was kimchi. I don't know. It wasn't spicy enough or something. It was tasty, but I expected it to be more spicy. And I was like, oh, I should have waited for a better place to go. This is just a mall, which is fast food, right? But I was like, been waiting for a while. Okay, we're way away from the whole theme, but I love this because I love tea, and maybe one day we'll have a tea ceremony. Who knows, right?
Yes,
Do
I hope
you do
so.
tea, you do tea ceremonies, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I hope one day we will. So let's just go back because this is all about you as a person. Okay. So the question is, what would you tell me if I'm writing a feature film about you? But we will break it down, and the whole episode would be about this film. So to start this conversation, my question would be, what is the opening scene in your film? What's the first scene you would consider so far? I know you're young, and and there's still more life to do and more things to enjoy and love. But so far, what is the thing in your life that, like, oof, I want to start from there?
So far, I mean, I thought about this question a lot actually, and
Okay.
I think it would be a very, how to say it, everyday kind of scene. And because I just came back from India like 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
so I think probably it would be a scene of me sitting in front of masala dosa with a small cup of coffee for change. and just like probably putting sugar into this coffee and like stirring it slowly because I feel like, and that would be kind of like foreshadowing at the beginning of the movie, and then I would just go back, to show how did I get to this point, because I was thinking about it. And if you told me, like, I don't know, 2 years back, 3 years back, that I will be in India, I would be like, what? No way. So I think that would be the opening scene as of now.
Mm. And I imagine narrator saying, "Coffee is not her usual drink, but here she is."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not my usual drink.
She's adding sugar because coffee is not her usual drink. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. You sitting um, with the meal and the coffee. What were you thinking then?
Ah, probably, damn, it's a place to be in this
Mm.
planet. Like, because actually, this is my experience, like, from this past half years, that the simplicity of this moment, whether I was with company or alone there, because it became my ritual there
Mm.
as well. That was
Okay.
just so simple, enjoying this very like basic South Indian dish with this basic coffee and like just sitting there observing people. Like, I think this is the place to be, because I think like my main goal by the end of life is just to achieve this peace. And
Mm.
in the simple moments, I just get reminded that it's there all the time. I just need to access it.
I just need to write that down. Achieve
Uh,
peace in simple moments. I love this so much. How did you end up in India?
ah.
Ah,
For
yes,
the short
it's
story,
has a lot of things in it.
um, okay, so how should I put it? Well, in pandemic, I was bored,
Mm.
and now I'm sharing a story that part of me is a little bit ashamed, but I feel like it had to happen that way. So I was bored in pandemic, and
Mm.
I was in quarantine with my parents for a
Mm.
month without the option of going out. And out of boredom, I started Tinder and put it on global. And I swiped right, left, right, left, right, left. Um, and I got matched with an Indian guy.
Mm.
And we started talking, and it was cool. And we talked for like 2 years. And even last year, like, each of us had things going on and stuff like that, even though we thought we would meet. But um eventually, I remember, like, I was not so eager to go, but then at the same time, because pandemic ruined a lot of my travel plans, I was like, I need to go somewhere because now it's over and I need to break free. So
Mm.
I was thinking, there is this guy, and like I do yoga, and why not go to India? But okay, India is big.
Mm.
So where do I go?
Mm.
So fast forward last October, I was sitting one evening and just wasting my time on YouTube. And the algorithm showed me the video about idli, which is one of the dishes, South Indian dishes. And it was like 7 minutes video about this little restaurant in the city called Bangalore. And I watched this video and I was like, that's the city to go. And I just bought my tickets to Bangalore and left. And the plot twist is that the guy eventually ghosted me like week before my flight. So I
Mm.
so I just went there like, okay, let's start fresh. And honestly, I think it was for the best.
Was for the best.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, you're like one of my favorite people because I'm that person. I'll see a video or like something that would give me a sign, I'll act spontaneously on it, and honestly, it will be one of my best experiences. When I calculate things, things just don't go the way I calculate. So I just
Yeah.
rather jump into things. Maybe I don't like high expectations, so I just go with the flow. This is who I am. Um, I have so many questions. How long did you stay in India?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. How? Okay. You said he ghosted you, right? Were you guys? Obviously, it was a long distance relationship, online relationship. Um, I don't know how serious it was, but what was your feeling knowing you're going there and then he ghosted you? How did you feel inside?
Honestly, I was like, hmm. I was when it happened, like before the flight, when like he just disappeared like that. I was like, okay, that's not cool. And I
Mm,
just got very disappointed, especially that my previous relationship also ended in a very bad way. And I was like, am I doomed or something? But I was like,
mm,
okay, I mean, it is what it is. I got the ticket.
mm.
I mean, I will not be like, and especially that he was not from the city I went to. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. I'm just going. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. I don't care.
Mm,
Like, it's his loss. I mean, you know, like whether it's my loss, that's questionable. But by the end of the day, I feel like if you get ghosted, that
mm,
speaks for the person more than their words.
mm.
So so yeah, I
Okay.
had a little bit like resentment or anger even, but then actually the moment I arrived in India, I was like, okay, whatever happened happened. Apparently it had to be like this, I don't know,
Mm,
leverage to bring me here to India,
mm.
because I like momentarily just fell in love
With
with
the
this place.
India. Oh, so and when you were there, what was were you tourists? What were you doing? Like, I'm
So
interested in your daily life, from the moment you arrived to like, um, just tell me what
yeah.
was happening there.
So basically, my plan was that I will go there, I will see if I like it. And if I
Mm,
like it, then I will just figure out the ways to stay.
mm,
But now that was, I loved it so much. And then I
mm,
realized that um, visa restrictions are quite huge issue there for foreigners, which is
mm,
like, from, I would say from the India perspective is understandable, but obviously it made me very angry.
mm.
Um, so yeah,
Like
so
what? What do you mean
sorry.
by restriction? What are the
Oh,
restrictions
no,
that you
it's hard,
understand
it's
from?
very hard to get working visa for foreigner.
Mm,
Um, like I think most of foreigners, that's my assumption, and from what I see, most foreigners that live in India are actually spouses of Indian citizens.
oh, okay.
So, like, and especially I feel like probably my shock comes from the fact that I like Poland belongs to European Union, so we have quite a huge bunch of countries where we go and we can
Welcome.
start our lives there without any additional documents, visas, or whatsoever.
Not my experience in life, of course, but
Yeah, yeah. So,
always
so
been
I'm,
met with restrictions. So I was thinking bigger restrictions, because
yeah,
this is
no,
the restrictions for you. This is your point of view of the restriction for a foreigner, right? The papers, the visa.
yeah, yeah. I know it sounds silly comparing like
No, it's
after
not.
I
No,
came
it
back.
doesn't sound silly. No, it does not. It's just a different point of view that I've
Mm.
never
Yeah,
encountered.
but
But
then I find out how it's hard for like foreigners to come to Poland, and I was like, okay, I stopped complaining. But yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
basically, yeah, I mean, I was mostly like exploring,
Mm,
visiting places. I went for a few trips. I met a new boyfriend.
Great.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
um, and then um yeah, just spending my days, and when I kind of understood that I will have to eventually like leave, then I started to spend some parts of days like on my exploring my, let's say, possibilities of what I can do in Poland. Or and also that's the time I joined the Night Owl Nation,
Mm.
like I think end of March.
Oh.
So I got like invested in this as well.
Hmm.
So, and basically, I just hang out with Indian people because I don't know, when I go places, I just like to meet local people. So,
You're in the hood, eh? Like that's what you said
no,
earlier.
maybe not in the hood, but yeah,
Well, at least it's a hood for you because it's like you're with the local people and it's an authentic experience. It's not.
no. I see how to put it, like local, but not really local, because actually in Bangalore is a city that a lot of people are from outside this city. So even
Oh,
when
okay.
you come from outside the country, you're like
You
all
accept it.
outsiders, you know?
Oh, okay.
I mean more like local people, but like in sense Indian people from different
It's,
places of
it's like me
India.
taking you back to Sudan because I haven't been there in 11 years. So I'm not disconnected. Well, I am, let's face it. It's been 11 years, almost 12 years. I haven't been there. So if I'm like taking you, I will need a guide too. So I'll be a local, but not actual local there. Does that make sense? Is it the same thing, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, because I went there and I was like, okay, let me visit this museum, this
Yeah.
palace, that palace. And I would be like talking to people, hey, I visited this place. Have you been there? No. And
No,
they would be living there for a few years or something like that. I was like, okay.
I can relate to that. I think there are places in Toronto here I did not visit. Um, and people who like go, they're like, "Have you been to this? Have you been?" And I know most like citizen already, like people who grew up here visited, but my experience is different. So I can relate to them not going.
Yeah.
um,
I feel like it's just that when we live in certain places, we start to take things for granted. So we just like
absolutely,
either we don't take interest or like, okay, later, some other day and stuff like that. But when you know you have only this trip, you just go everywhere.
you have a deadline. I
Yeah.
was um, I was listening to what was it? It was a video on Instagram. Um, Gosh, this guy is very well known. I forgot his name. I am sorry in advance, but here's what he said. He said the reason that we don't live for 3,000 years is because to we need growth in the community and in everything. If someone has 3,000 years to live, he won't work hard to invent something or to make a difference, or like the idea of that you have a deadline that you're going to die at a certain age that you don't know what's the age is the idea that like makes you wake up and do this and that and have ambition goals, etc. But if I have 3,000 years to make this podcast and I'm not feeling well today, I'll message you to do it next year, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a vast look at what you had. You have like certain days, and that's what tourists do. They have certain days in a place where they go visit. But the locals
Yeah.
are like, oh, I've never been there, so I'll go someday. Blah blah blah. Yeah, that's that's great. It's a new perspective. And you came back from India
Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Oh, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm still
You
adjusting
told me,
now.
but I'm like, I think it didn't register in my mind. How is it coming back from there and staying? Like, how
I
do you
mean,
feel?
it's obviously completely new world. Like not new, but like different. And I noticed that maybe partially because of excitement of like exploring or something like that. But I don't know, when I go to a new place, actually all the places I choose to live or stay for extended amount of time felt like home right away.
Mm,
Meanwhile, ironically, when I come back to Warsaw, I'm like a little bit awkward. Like I cannot. But first, it like takes me a few days to like click with things. Like, oh, this is how it is here. Okay. And plus the weather. Even though we are like in summer now, I'm laughing that they like worried that I don't experience any shock or something like that, because like the time I left, like now in India, it's monsoon time.
mm,
And here in Warsaw, it's like all the time raining, almost
mm.
every day since I came back. So I'm like, okay, thank you, monsoon, for following me.
Okay. I love rain. I don't complain about rain. Like
No,
we have rain here too. It's raining. I
it's
was
not about
expecting also.
complaining, because you can enjoy different kind of tea in the rain more. But it's just that, um, like in Poland in general, we have this problem that we don't have a lot of sun during the
Yeah, like
year.
in Canada. Yeah,
Yeah.
Canadians too. Canadians don't have a lot.
So once we
We
get
have a lot
some,
of winter. Yeah, they love summer. I'm Canadian too, but when I came here, it's because I've always lived in hot climates, like growing up. I don't like being in the sun. I burn easily too. No matter like how much I spend on sunscreen, I always wear sunscreen. But no matter what, I just burn. Like right now, I've been in the sun most almost every day for my work, and I'm just devastated because I don't like, and I get headaches and lights and blah. So
mm,
I'm more into like fall season, and I love the colors and stuff. And this is one of my culture shocks. When I came here, when I go out and it's rain, it's like my favorite day. And then I hear people saying, "Oh, such a bad weather," and I'm like, "What are they talking about?" And then you know, and because back where I lived, rain is a good thing, and we're agricultural land, so we love rain. And it reminded me of my childhood, when I used to read books, and they're written by people who live in England or Europe, or and they say a thing like, "Oh, it was such a beautiful sunny day," and I'm like, how a sunny day can be beautiful when I was a kid, because a sunny day is not beautiful to me. It's never been beautiful. It's just a hot day, another hot day, because we have sun all that time. So we appreciate the times that we have more cool breeze. Even though like we live by the Nile, and like when it's rain, there's a floods. It's not like the perfect weather raining, and we like infrastructure, we're not ready. A lot of things, but it's like a rest from. So whenever I used to like listen to that, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And then watch growing up watching movies and stuff, it just clicked. And then when I came here, I was like, oh, that's what they mean. But I'm still in the rain phase, loving uh mindset. Maybe my day change. I'll never know.
honestly, at some point, for me personally, I just was like, okay, we need both. We need sun and rain. And like, also, I was like, I don't want to let something like weather affect my mood, whether I'm happy because it's sunny or sun because
Mm.
it's rainy, or other way around. I was like, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But if you
it
ask
is
me,
what it is for a reason, too, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
but I
agree
do
with
have
you.
like preference for sun, I think. Now.
Okay, I have a question. So I usually ask uncomfortable question. You can tell me questions. You can tell me if you don't like to answer, or like it's uncomfortable. It's fine with me. I
Okay.
just want to explore more. That you don't when I feel like when you travel, you said it. I feel at home where I go. And where are the places you went to? China, India,
And I lived in Paris for
and
3 years.
Paris. Yes, I was thinking with the third place, right? India,
Mhm.
China. Sorry, China and Paris. You feel more at home there, but not at where you, because you were born in Poland. Yeah. did you have your childhood in Poland too?
Yes.
So
That
when did you start traveling? At what
I
age?
like traveling for holidays. I would do this when I was little, but I mean, I count this like long periods of time spent abroad as much more significant. So I moved out to France right after high school for my
Mm,
bachelor degree. And then after my bachelor degree, it was China. Then I came back to Poland. And then now after pandemic, it was India. And honestly,
okay.
I cannot explain it because I was always kind of like, okay, I'm Polish. I live in Poland. But there was always, even for me as a kid, like I was like, I couldn't even speak any other language than Polish, but I was like, huh, why it feels like so unfamiliar, in a way.
Mm,
And
mm,
then I see a lot of people used to tell me that, like, oh, you don't seem like Polish, like you don't
mm.
look like Polish. I put aside of it because I mean, I don't know how can I not look like Polish, but
When you're Polish,
yeah, or like, but put aside looks, there was like this kind of like you don't have this like Polish
belonging.
personality or something like that, and I was
Oh,
like, what does it mean? And so I feel like partially I was like innately like something's off. Like, why
mm,
am I in this country? Like
mm,
my soul made a mistake, or
mm,
something like that, or maybe not. And then just whatever it is, whether it's like my personality or I don't know even what, like many people, and especially it came from adults. It's not
mm,
like kids would play around or something like that, but adults would be like, why I don't get the Polish vibe from you? And I'm like, what is the Polish vibe? And I don't want to spread the stereotypes of Polish people, so I will not bring it up here.
mm,
But
mm.
yeah, and then I just like remember like going to Paris, which is the great story of manifestation also.
Yeah,
And
tell us the story. How did you
we
how
did.
did you end up in Paris?
So actually,
Hmm.
if I should start from this childhood moment when I was like, I think I was 4 or 5 at that time, and like I was like flipping through this like travel agency catalog, and I saw the Mickey Mouse from Disneyland in Paris, and I told my mom I will live in Paris one day, and she was like, yeah, whatever. And then
Mm,
um like in Poland, when I was at school, we had like 6 years of primary school, then like middle school, and then high school.
mm,
So by the end of like primary school, you have to choose like second foreign language because we have English mostly in primary school.
mm,
And then you can choose whatever like available language. And mostly it was like back then it was like Russian, German, Spanish, French, these four mainly. And like in my family, like my parents used to learn German and Russian. Same
mm.
for my brother as well. But I was like, I want to learn French. And
Then
I was like,
French.
I think it took me a year to persuade my parents to agree that I go for French. And I started learning, and I was like, I was so like sucked into French. Like
Mm,
I would spend even my time after school like on YouTube, barely knowing any French, trying to search for some like, short films and stuff like that. And but at the same time, I had by then I didn't have this intention like, oh, I will move to France. Like
mm,
because in middle school I also started to attend like theater classes. And like for probably 4 or 5 years, I was like, I will become a theater actress. And I will go to this theater school and all of that. And last year of high school, it was like I already was like starting my preparations for entry exam to theater school.
mm.
And similarly, I think it was October or November, I was like, do I really want to do that? Maybe not. And then I find out that, again, the blessing of my citizenship is that in France, they accept my, like, the final exams from
Mm,
Poland. Like the
okay.
high school final exams are just accepted. Like, then you also need like certificate that you know French, but
Mm,
that's it. You just apply and
mm. And you got accepted.
it's done. Like, so I was like, maybe I should just go to France, like without thinking too much. Yeah, for some studies. And I was like, okay, let me think. What should I apply for? And because like that also was like the idea of people about me that I have this talent for languages. So
Mm,
I just like pick like I think 10 or 15 different language majors, and
mm.
I was like, whatever it will be just it, and I would just go, and it happened to be Chinese. So yeah, so then I just finished my high school, packed up. Everyone was left like, what just happened? Because everyone was
I was
thinking
like,
I'm
poop.
just like talking, like, yeah, talking for the sake of talking. Yeah, like I will go, but there was, oops,
Did
you
yeah.
got accepted. She goes.
Mm.
So yeah, and I landed in Paris for 3 years.
For 3 years learning Chinese. So now you know English, Polish, English, French, and Chinese, four
Yeah.
languages. Wow,
Yes.
you're my hero. You are my
I
hero.
love Hindi. I love Hindi, but it's very
you
basic for now.
so almost five languages. I This is my goal in life to know five or six languages, and I only know two, and I'm learning. I can understand Turkish now because of the drama I watch, and I've gained interest in Korean, and I've studied French, but not that interested in French. But it's my goal to learn it eventually, right? What a journey. And like, okay, I think there is 50% chance that you were influenced by the adults who told you that you don't look Polish, right? And
Honestly, it's
I
not about
also,
only looks.
it's not
Mostly
just
what,
looks. It was
yeah,
like they're telling you your vibes too, right?
yeah.
And then, do you think you believe this and kind of manifested it too, or was it even before someone tell you that you felt like you're not vibing or you're not belonging to this environment? I do have, but I wasn't born and raised in my country, right? I kept coming, going, and back, so I kind of like what someone will say. I've kind of like lost the code. um, and I became like a mix of cultures and experiences. But I know my origins, my language, my cultures, etc. And I actively work to keep that, right? But for
Yeah.
you, you worked, you were born, and you had this like 17 years, even though you were traveling, but you were in one place, which is
Yeah.
it's
Actually, I was
interesting.
thinking about it a lot. And
Yeah, and like trying to like dig deeper here.
I think it might be the case, but I just kind of felt like even looking back, like now I remember I was always into different cultures, like
Yeah,
always. Like,
maybe you're a curious person,
yeah, and
and your
then
curiosity.
whatever it was when I was little, I think now it's just the reality, but that I am kind of mix of all of these places that I lived in,
Yeah,
because I also like wherever I go, I just like I meet like these people from this country, and they tend to become my best friends, you know.
yeah,
So
genuine networking. Yeah.
actually, this is something that my uh art teacher brought to me, that probably by now I'm just a bridge, like this kind of bridge between cultures,
Cultures.
and I don't feel like, I mean it, and it doesn't, because I feel like when I say it, people feel like, oh my god, I have to feel so alienated.
Oh.
That is not the point. It's more, the point is like wherever I go, I'm exotic,
Mm-hmm.
in that way, like um like whatever, like I don't know many Polish people that have exactly the same experience as I have. Sorry.
It's
And
okay.
I right. Uh, so it's like for them it's interesting, and they look a little bit at me like, oh wow, that's something
Mm.
different. Put aside that I also, especially like right after I come back from another country, I tend to like forget Polish words or have a little bit weird
Oh,
accent or
but
something
you
like
speak four languages. That's understandable.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
speak two languages and I forget lots of words in the two
yeah,
languages. Yeah.
so it's like I feel like now it's like I just I kind of enjoy my role, that I kind of am between all these cultures, and like I might not belong fully there, but like I can connect Polish and Chinese culture in a way, like show to both sides, oh, this is how it is, or this is how it
Mm.
is, or with
You're not
India
that
also,
different.
like I just stopped, like obviously I'm blessed with Polish passport, because
Mm.
it's not the worst. And like I will always see probably that Warsaw is my home, because that's another thing. I'm from Warsaw, and Warsaw is capital city, and I spent most of my life in Warsaw. Like
Mm.
even for traveling around Poland, probably most of foreigners visiting Poland. So more places in Poland than I ever did.
Mm.
So I have strong like I identify myself with Warsaw much more, rather
Mm.
than with the whole country, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yes, it does. It does because I remember living in. I'm coming from a city, and I was studying in the capital, and I would be sitting with my friends, and I would say, instead of saying the name of the city, I'd say I'm going to Sudan, and my friend would say, "You are in Sudan." I said, "Oh, I forgot I'm there," because I don't identify as part of this city, but part of that city,
Mm.
and it's just like not. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying this is better than this. I'm just saying that is more home to me than this city. Does that make sense? I think for you, it's you don't see the world as divided places. For you, it's one place. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Because, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I love languages and I love learning them. And when I watch shows from different cultures, like I watch German and Spanish, and and the reason I do that, well, I can't afford to travel all of this, even though I'm blessed with a Canadian passport, but I have other things. So when I watch and like see people from different places, I just feel like we kind of like living the same life in different places with different languages, with different environments. We kind of like have somehow similar cultures, but you just like how we started this conversation. Um, in Chinese, how the tea ceremony is, and in Sudan, how the coffee, which we don't call it a ceremony, we just do it, right? But in Chinese, they recognize it as a ceremony, but it should be recognized here too as a ceremony because it's such a habitual thing. All of like the women are doing it at that time. So I feel like we just have in each country um, a version of everything in a different way, and we need someone with your eyes to like experience it, and just like what your teacher said, bridging it together, bridging people be like, oh, it's there, they do this and this, person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's exactly it. Sometimes I'm like, who even came up with all this, like passports and stuff like that? Because yeah, that's true. Like like we have one Earth, and we are all humans. And actually, this is also like what I do. That I kind of, as this kind of bridge, I try to say, yeah, there are some things specific to different cultures, beautiful things, but by the end of the day, we're just normal people, you know.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. I
we
love
will
what you
have
said. I love what you said. What
same,
earth?
you know, problems even mostly by now. You know, obviously there are regions that face completely different level of problems like extreme poverty, wars and stuff like that. But these are even regions that travels are restricted there. So I'm talking about
Mm,
these places we can go. Mostly people are really much more say the same,
mm.
much more than different. It just, I believe, you have to go wherever you go. You have to go with open mind and open heart, and then you will just connect with people, no matter like religion or culture background or anything. It just, you
You
go
find
to
a
meet
home.
another human being, not an alien or something.
No, you find a home everywhere you go if you open your heart for it.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
and that's what you've been doing. And I love this so much. I love your life because you to
Thank you.
I do. You know, when you were like talking about your travels, I was like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful life. And because I didn't travel because, you know, or on my own, but this is something I realized here when like I moved to Canada is wow. And because I hope you come to Canada, but all people from all around the world, especially in Toronto. Toronto is like, I feel like Toronto is the center of the world because you meet people from places. I'm not good in geography. I've never heard of. Okay. And I'm like, what is that country? And I go and I look it up, right? And I'm like, and they tell me about it. And I'm like, wow, I met a person from that place. And then I remember meeting a person from um, wait, was she so? Oh, I forgot the name of the island. Oh my gosh! And I when I went to that, she was a woman,
Mm,
and she was doing I forgot the oh my Mauritius.
mm.
Okay, it was the first time I met someone from Mauritius, and I was like sitting. It was a conference, and I was sitting, and everyone was like, and she was giving a live experience, and it turns out all the flowers in the event, flowers arrangement, she made them by herself, right?
Wow.
And she's like, "This is what I do," and so I was like, "Wow, so proud." And I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking she's Sudanese from the way she looks and she dresses, right? So I went to her and I said, "I love everything you said," and I talked to her, and I said, "Sorry, are you from Sudan?" And she looked at me and she said, "No, but we do look alike." Because she looked, I kid you not, you
Wow.
would think this is my older sister or my mom or something like that. Like if I have a younger mom, you know, a young mom or like an older sister. And she said, "We look the same, right?" And I said, "I was looking at you all the time." She said, "I'm from Mauritius." And I was like, wow, I've never met someone from Mauritius. I know about Mauritius, but I've never met someone from Mauritius, you know? And we just started talking and we just clicked on how we look. And, you know, she's Muslim too. And I was like, wow, you know? And I keep meeting people in this country from different places. And it just is struck to me how similar we are. Even like, you know, a place in Africa and a place in Asia. They would have no like things that are so parallel to each other. And I just wish that we know and we grow up. Like I wish there's an education, like a subject that called Earth. What you
Yeah.
say? What is the point of a passport? A passport it should be an ID, not a restriction document. You know, it should be an
Yeah.
ID to tell who is this person instead of saying, "Oh, that person is." For example, Sudan is one of the country of my Sudanese passport. It won't take me to many places as my Canadian passport, right? And I'm like, why? And I understand the politics and everything behind it, but you're segregating people from each other, and when that happens, people are just going to stay put with their judgments towards the other person. right? And and I think people like you have, I don't want to put responsibility on you, saying have a great job or role to like not educate, but like you existing in one place, being yourself and being accepting and heart opening to know the other person, and also like traveling and them seeing you what you're going through, or like you two have restrictions, you're just a normal person like everyone else, right? Because people tend to like people put others or foreigners in different statuses. If you've been to like, 'cause one of the places I lived in was UAE, and and according to different communities, they have different jobs, they have the different reputation, even here in Canada, right? And to just get rid of all of that and see a person for who they are, and that's what you're doing by your travels, right? I think like you just sit with people. They're not locals, but you sit with them as yourself, right? And that's just
Also, I feel like, I mean, I'm this kind of person, like, I don't like to take someone else's opinion as my own. So when
Mhm,
it comes to stereotype, I'm like, I don't care about it. You can tell me anything and everything about like whatever nation.
mhm,
I'll be like, I will go meet these people like with no expectation of because they are
mhm,
like this, I need to be worried. No, because, and I think this is something I'm grateful, like my parents just taught me that, like anything, nothing else matters when it comes to people. The only thing matters is how they treat others. That's
mhm.
all.
Yeah,
And this is how you make your judgment, not by like whatever nationality, religion, financial status. These things don't matter.
looks.
You
Yeah,
just
yeah,
see how they treat
interesting.
you, how they treat others, and then you see whether they're good people or not. So I'm
Mm,
like basically just navigating and
mm,
with this thought that, plus I know also that I don't like when someone approaches me with an assumption about me without knowing me. No
mm.
one likes it, right? So if no one likes it, why do we do that? Like
I
there is
think
no reason.
some people do that because they think um, they look smart if they predict something about you and it's true.
Yeah.
Maybe,
But
I don't know. Maybe some people want to look more knowledgeable, because here's my thing. I try to think of, even if the other person is someone who's doing something wrong, I try to think of their opinion, because I write, so I want to write villains too, right? Villains
no,
characters. So y- I want to like, I think when someone's, because I I wouldn't say I do that, because I think like you. I don't like expectations. I don't like assumptions, and because I was put in situation where everyone assumed where I am, where I come from, what is my life situation. So I don't like doing that. I would love for a person to show me who they are, right? That's, but it's just much more interesting than me assuming everything. What's the point? Where's the journey here? Where's
no.
the fun in this? Where's the enjoyment if you already assumed everything about, like, you know what I mean? Like kind of what we're doing right now. You're telling me what you're doing, who you are, and if I'm writing about you, and I'm getting ideas, and I'm asking you about those ideas. That's much more interesting to me than you telling me, I'm Polish. This is my name, and I went to these places. I'll be like, and then me assuming the rest of your story. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But some people would be like, oh, since she told me those pieces, I just want to be smart enough and finish it. You know? Um, I think that's how I see why people assume things. But I agree with you. I love giving people clear slate kind of things, and they just write on it, but they won't write. and give them like a million chances to try. Um, I see you as a navigator of Earth. Um, it's what you said. You said I like navigating. I see you. This is how. Okay. When I talk to Bill, I try to imagine what I would write. So for you, starting in one place, eating a Southern Indian dish with coffee, which is not your regular drink, and then it goes from you literally sitting there, and I would say like, you know how you sitting there just goes in the world map to where you're born, and it goes to like to your childhood, and then you in Paris, and then you in China. And I don't think we talked about China yet. What happened in China? I don't know. You know what I mean? That is so interesting. And then I wouldn't think in your movie or feature film it would you be in each place by itself. Like, let's say you stayed in Paris for 3 years, and we would have you in these 3 years. No, I think everything is connected. So something happened in Paris could have happened in China and um, India and Poland. And then you know
Yeah,
what? Those are the scenes that will be connected together. And then because it's you are the navigator, and guess what? Until we learn our lesson and connect the dots will keep happening. The things will keep happening. The patterns will keep happening until you're like, that was it means, and you apply it to your life. And then you go to the next pattern. And I feel like that's something. Do you think that's something that has been happening with you?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, I think like this is actually this. I I say this is funny because like the stereotype, a bit of stereotype of like white person going to India is going to like some kind of retreat or yoga teacher course or something like that, and
UK love
I
kind
have
of
the
story,
yoga
right?
teacher certificate, but I didn't go there with such intention. And obviously, I visited temples and stuff like that, but I was just there with like regular people. And
Yeah.
I'm laughing that like that was probably the best retreat ever. You know, like best, I don't know, whatever, like this kind of spiritual uh trip or something like that, because when you just meet another person and like, and I feel like this time spent in India was actually the moment where a lot of things like from Poland, France, China, like actually that's where the many dots to connect appeared.
Mm,
Like it became like a full circle.
mm.
So yeah, that's definitely something. But I mean, there are also a lot of dots that have no like another dot to connect. So for sure,
Well,
the
you're still going to live a full life, and
yeah,
maybe 10 years from now, this podcast would be something else, and I will be like, remember 10 years ago when we talked about you being the navigator of the world and connecting the dots? What happened there? You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah.
God,
I
I love
hope
your life.
I hope it will be like
It,
that.
it's good. It's good. I have good intuition. Not to be snobby or anything, but I see things in people, and I wish they come true. Um, Tell me something about China other than the tea, because I feel like we should do
Ah,
a tea retreat, a tea ceremony one day, and make it. I don't know if it can go online, or maybe one day I'll visit you or you'll visit me. Who knows what the life has for us? But tell me something about China that's you want to share. I
okay.
I'm
I
interested
know.
in Chinese, you know, the country and culture and
Yeah.
everything. It's one of the most richest places in the world, I feel, right?
Yeah, I mean it's so complex. I mean, but where do I start? So after my bachelor degree, oh, also a funny part about languages that would be like a side note that I left Poland after 6 years of learning French, and I had my certificate, and I was like, oh, I know how to speak French. I know French very well. I landed in Paris and I thought that I would cry because I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't, like,
Yeah,
the people,
English.
most of people couldn't, like, they didn't have
Understand
patience
that.
to wait for me to make up a sentence in my mind. And
It
my
was.
accent, like, I had very strong Polish accent at that time. So I was like there, like, what have I done? so so I was like, okay, mm, that means, like, after my bachelor degree in Chinese, I was like, okay, I have good notes in my Chinese classes,
Mm,
like we have Chinese professors and stuff like that, so they understand what I say.
mm,
Means it's not bad, but I need to check myself in real life.
mm,
So I was like, okay, let me try to go. And actually, first I found some kind of it was called like internship in managing 5-star hotel or something
mm,
like that. And I arrived in the city I lived in is called Chengdu. It's in the southwest of China.
mm,
So I arrived there and I'm like so excited and everything. And then they just put me by the front door of this hotel and they say you just greet the guests as you know, like for 8 hours a day. And I was like, this cannot be happening. I cannot say just hello, like, no,
mm.
for 8 hours a day. No,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. So somehow, I don't even remember how,
Mm,
uh, I kind of met like this expat community. I get connected to the expat community, and one girl kind of recommended me and I became an English teacher there.
mm,
So that's basically what I did. And also, yeah, about the life in China. Obviously, internet there works on different rules, I would say.
yeah.
And imagine me arriving in China and 2 weeks in, and all I have is my French bank card
Oh.
and with all the money. And I go to ATM, and it turns out it's not the problem of ATM, but my card stopped working. Like, this
Chip
chip
is
inside. Yeah.
it's not working because you're in China?
No, I
It
think
just
it got
stopped working.
yeah, for
Okay.
whatever reason. So I was like there. I had the cash for a few days.
Mm,
But then another thing is that Chinese banks are like, not Chinese, sorry, French banks are, at least at that time, I don't know, maybe now it changed, but at that time they were like in a different era, like
yeah.
everything was slow there. And like with the smallest thing, you have to go to the exact place where you opened your bank account. And I'm there in China and my card is not
Not
working. And I tried to reach them, like, Skype has this option that you can pay, like, call the phone number if you pay to Skype. So I
mm,
was trying to call it. It costed me a lot. And somehow I managed to persuade them that they send me a new card. But it's quite a distance, right? So I was like,
mm,
what am I gonna do? And somehow, again, I don't remember how, like one Chinese girl that I knew, she
mm,
told me, oh, I know this Polish guy. Maybe he will help you. And like out of the blue, I just found a Polish guy in China. And he was like, yeah, sure, I can borrow you some money and stuff like that. But that was the moment I found out this card doesn't work and I have literally no way to like get any money and I have limited amount of cash. I was like, my God, again, why am I doing this to me, to myself, Why am I putting myself in this situation? So
mm,
so yeah, but luckily it got figured, and then then I started teaching English there, like in this
mm.
kind of like private like school where kids come after the regular school,
Yeah.
like tutoring, more like tutoring it was.
Mm.
Yeah, and that was a whole another experience.
I feel like we need more than one episode. I relate to things not working my way, and wow, that's the difference because you're alone there,
Yeah,
and communications are hard, and wow, you survived
I,
this. But look at you, look at you. I always tell my friends when they're going through something, no matter how, I say find the humor in it, and a year from now we'll be telling this story laughing.
yeah.
And that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
You're telling it with a laugh, but I find these things, I don't know, they just teach you something about yourself and how life works. Um,
And that is also the kind of story that makes me feel like I'm very lucky. Like, who would think that I will find just this convenient Polish guy that is like, yeah, sure, bro, no problem.
yeah, so chill. I'll give you money. Come on, I'll give it back whenever. Um, what is something you loved about each country you lived in, including Poland?
Um, I mean, that is for all the countries I live in is people. I don't know. I'm very lucky with people overall. So
Yeah,
I love all the people I met there. But let me think.
I think
I
people you meet are your
I don't
reflection
want to
too.
sound so typical, but
Sorry,
from France it will be pastry.
pastry.
I
Are
don't
you like? Do you
know.
have a sweet tooth?
Like
You love
basically you ask
amazing
me this question and all I can think is like people
food.
and food everywhere.
That's what? That's why I would be traveling for food first, then people because I'm a foodie and I love food. So
Yeah.
okay, so pastry in France and people.
I mean, I also would say that I love France that I can speak French there
Mm,
because and everyone speaks French because
yeah,
I basically find it's a very beautiful language. It sounds
yeah.
beautiful.
It sounds beautiful. I have to say it
Yeah.
does. Yeah. Um, about China.
China, except people and food. And I
Hmm.
would
Okay, what's your
say,
favorite meal? Chinese meal.
oh my
You can't
god.
pick a favorite. I
I
can't pick a favorite. Can't pick a favorite in food. I love all food. I have like limited things I don't eat, and those are the things that I don't like. But other than that, I love all foods. I can wait.
think I mean I didn't actually explore enough of France, I think, but I feel like especially in China and India, the fascinating thing is that it's these both countries are like many countries inside one country.
Inside one country.
Mm. The like regions are different from one another, languages different, all of that inside one country. And I think I feel like it's crazy, basically. Yeah. And
Wow.
should I say, oh, I know, Forbidden City in China, like in Beijing, this
Mm.
great palace, Emperor's Palace. I just, wow, that's amazing. As maybe cliche as it may sound, but Forbidden City is a beautiful place. I will just
Okay.
take
I'm
it
writing it
back.
down. I love writing things so I can remember them. Okay. I usually ask people um what do you think the theme of your feature movie would be?
The theme,
Mm.
as in, could you give some examples?
like would you say the theme here is connecting with people? Would you say it, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to think of a movie, but I don't know what things you like or watch.
I mean, okay, I think I get your point. So I think the theme would be uh I would like it to be to like the theme of connecting to daily life because
Mm,
even with this whole traveling, that's why I like to go alone or not when it's like I don't go to organized trips or
mhm.
and that is also why mainly when I travel and I go to another country, I try to spend like more time there because that is my favorite thing to do is just to like pick a spot, whether it's like cafe or park, I just sit down and I observe people and how they walk, how they talk,
Mm.
how the daily life happens, And I feel like, I mean, it's also like very meditative thing to do. And as much as I love visiting places, like all these tourist spots, whatever, that is part of it. But the moment I just sit and I don't do anything special, I just like, yeah, that is the moment I see like daily life of these people, and then there's also this moment of realization we're really not that different anywhere you go. So yeah, I think my movie would be a very slow movie.
You
Like
made
slow
me
like
think of a K drama called My Liberation Notes. I don't know why. It doesn't.
uh, I
It
think
doesn't.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it though.
Oh, I don't know why you made me think of it. Maybe because it's a day. It was like when I was watching it. Some people say it's boring. It was like a daily life of siblings, and it was just you have to watch it. It's one of my favorites. Um, I don't think your movie would be slow. I think it would be peaceful and um,
Yes.
one of those things that you would enjoy with a cup of tea alone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It would be something I would love to watch and write, not just watch. I've wrote so many things about you: achieve peace in simple moments, the navigator of Earth, um, daily
Yeah.
life in different places. But I think what like I usually let the guest choose the name of the movie, which I would be the name of the podcast. But
Wow.
I love the navigator of Earth because I feel like you are a navigator, and I think you will be going into more travels.
Yeah, actually, that's funny that you mention it because there was a time in my life, and I mean, I'm still interested in that, but I was very much into like travels into outer space, and I don't
Ah,
know. Have you heard about this thing? I don't know which year it was launched, but there was like I don't know whatever you call this, n- no crew spaceship or something launched
especially
for like Voyager 1, and
I wouldn't
it
know
was
that. I'm not interested. They
I mean,
scare
yeah,
me.
so it's basically thing that like they just put like some notes on math and basically like human civilization, and there is a record uh inside of it
Mm,
unless it's lost somewhere.
okay.
And actually the first sentence is something like uh hello, this is the message from children of planet Earth, and I love it. And then there are like recorded different sounds from Earth, like
Um,
nature music and stuff like that.
uh,
And it's just like it I was like always like, oh my god, like I'm like Voyager 1.
you gave me a whole new perspective, like you traveling and recording different sounds of places.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Because um, you love daily moments, right? And imagine like going and you going back to the first scene, you sitting there and just recording what's happening, but not visually, but you know,
Yeah.
the sounds of people just, and then you go to another travel and even like in India itself, it's such a, you know, rich country, rich culture, every place is different, every language. And languages have a tone and a music to it too. Like
Oh,
especially like sometimes you hear a language and it's like, are they fighting? And they won't be fighting. They just
yeah.
the
Exactly.
thing is so passionate, right? And some days even in Arabic language, like some dialects are different, and I know some dialects in Arabic they sound so loving, and I'm like, and they will be saying regular stuff, right? And I feel like those languages differences and musics with everyday um, life going by, um, it will be an interesting project.
Yeah, maybe Maybe I will do that. Actually, no, I think that is a good idea.
Isn't it? Okay,
Thank you.
I would listen to that. I would buy that. I know I will. Um, so what do you think your movie name would be? Your feature film name?
Wow. That's actually, huh. I haven't thought about this, honestly.
No. Do
But
you
I
like the
think, like,
Navigator of Airs?
yeah, I actually like it because it makes, like, I don't know, it
So much
feels
sense.
like in my head, I just live a regular life. So even if someone is like, oh my God, wow, you're so courageous, you go there alone, I'm like, I go there. I mean, what's the big deal, you know? So
Yeah, it
the
is a big
Navigator
deal.
of Earth gives it, like, makes me feel like, actually my life is kind of big.
Hmm.
You know? Not that I'm like looking down on it or something, but if not it, I probably will like the lifelong journey of me
Yeah, the
or something.
lifelong journey of Monica.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna choose that because you say that.
but
Uh,
honestly, I feel like I like the Navigator of Earth more.
okay, we can agree on
It's
this
fun
later.
to
What is your takeaway
My
from?
takeaway, yeah, probably. I feel like just it when you meet someone from whatever, whether it's your country, not your country, you just have open mind and open heart, and also find the time during the day to slow down. It
Mm,
doesn't have to be long. Just 1 minute is enough,
1 minute
really.
is enough to slow down.
Yeah. Take a deep breath, you
Have a cup
know?
of tea.
Yeah, I mean, cup of tea is already that takes time, but I encourage people to start really small, like 1 minute. That
One
is
minute.
all you know.
I'll try to listen to this because I don't know. I'm not the type of slowing down person. Even the music I hear in the morning is usually like like those kind of thing.
Wow. No,
I just it's 2 a.m. Um, I love your journey, Monica. It's so beautiful, and I am so honored you shared it with me. I know we didn't dig deeper today. I wanted to dig deeper, but
but
I know this
that's
is your first time podcasting. So, but this is so interesting. Your personality, how accepting you are to other people and cultures, and you are so active in pursuing what you see in your mind. Maybe you don't know that, but I see it. I see you very active in going for it, you know? And I don't know if we talked about this, you said you're introvert and usual people,
yes.
right? And I told you this is genuine because the person who sits down, the people actually want to be. They see your energy, and you always say, "I love the people." You said a couple of times, "I love people, I love food," but you emphasize it on people, which means those people, and I say those are a reflection of you. If they didn't feel the energy, the vibe, whatever you're giving,
Yeah.
people feel that. They do, and that's how you meet people, that's how you connect. I do wish to see you in person one day, maybe here in Canada or in
I'm on it.
or like
On my list.
I feel like we might meet somewhere in the world, maybe. Who knows? I love traveling myself, and I wish to travel more. And
Yeah.
all the places I lived in were the places I was there for a moment of time. I was living, not traveling. That's why I was so interested in your life. It's a beautiful one, and I see more to come. Thank you so
Wow.
much for
Thank
being
you
here.
for having me. I had so much fun. Let's do another one someday.
Yeah, let's do another one. Let's do another one. And I love this so much. I'm honored that you shared, and I'm thankful that you agreed to come here. You have such an amazing persona and aura, and it just, makes me comfortable and in peace. So yeah, thank you. Thank
No,
you so much.
you're a great host. You're a great host, and I'm glad that it was my first experience
I have
on
more to
podcast.
come. More to come.
Yes.
Okay,
I hope
thank
I
you.
have a great evening, afternoon, whatever it is now.
We will never
After.
know when we will publish this, when is the time, because I haven't decided time. But if for me, I think it's noon. It's noon my time. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being listening or watching the Lemon Narrative podcast with Sabreen. I'll see you next time with an amazing guest and another amazing conversation about their feature film. Bye.
Bye bye.